0, 1.
Let's get started.
And we're live, ladies and gentlemen, back again.
Yeah,
Episode
we're back.
3, if not 3, 3.5. There might be some clips out, maybe 4. I don't remember what the number is.
Wait, yeah, is it 3 or is it 4?
That's
I don't
the thing.
know.
I don't know because technically 2 is 1.5, and 2 and 3 is 2 now. So I think this is technically 3, but it's our 4th recording anyway. So
Okay.
welcome back, everyone. Y'all thought we were gone. We ain't gone. We back.
Nah. We back like we never left.
Never left. All day, every day. But on today's agenda, we got a little more close to home topic. Not necessarily too close to home, because we don't want y'all to know where the we work at. Because some of y'all niggas is weird. Some of y'all weird. Hate watching.
Yeah.
Y'all
Be stalking and trying to like
dox like
stalk you and just trying to dox your whole
I'm like, I don't need you to know my mother's maiden name and all that and where my social security and all that. But the topic of today is big. Well, let me not say big. The topic is IT on a grand scale for a larger company, which Chuka has experience in, and then on my scale, which is a smaller business, not necessarily a small business like a mom and pop, but like a smaller business in the sense of like it's a centralized, commercialized IT field in like a specific
startup
subset. Yeah, like a startup. Something it's still a company nonetheless, but it's smaller than like a something on the strip, like a bigger company like
a corporation.
That. Yeah, like a corporation. Stuff. Yeah, it's like a corporation in the making, but not necessarily one as of yet. But yeah, you take it from there, man. What's your perspective of IT in the grander scheme of corporations?
Yeah. I would say because I feel like I have a little bit of experience on both sides, but more on like the corporation side.
Speak on.
Yeah. So I would say that when it comes to like with doing IT in a bigger corporation type of environment, so obviously you have like a lot of teams, right? You have like a lot of teams, you have like a lot of departments, that it sort of breaks down the field. It breaks down like IT or tech as we know it into these different like smaller units that are like more precise, right? So it's like, like in a corporation, for example, you're talking about like thousands of employees, right? You're talking like maybe 50,000 employees, 100,000, like all across the country, right? So, you got to create a lot of accounts, right? As far as like, Active Directory or like Azure, if you're more of like an online type of environment as opposed to like on-prem. So obviously it's like you want like a more dedicated team that's going to take care of that, right? So sometimes you have like a team that could be like the identity and access management, something like that, taking care of like the accounts, users, groups and policies and all that type of stuff. Then you could have like a network infrastructure department. You could have like your cybersecurity department. You could have like your more like field tech services type people, like just more on ground, everyday like PC deployments and troubleshooting, helping out end users and all that kind of fun stuff, right? Then you could have like a lot of like your guys that are like more on like the phones, right? So like your VoIP phones, voice over IP and all that stuff. So there's just like different teams. So it's like, in my experience, really, it helps because it's like, there's a lot of teams and like it separates like all those different tasks. And then you have like people on your team and it's like all of you putting heads together to focus on like more direct and specific like projects and stuff. You know what I mean? As opposed to like being pulled in every direction. So I don't know. What's your take on it?
So I don't necessarily have like the grand scheme take on it, because I went from working IT at it wasn't necessarily a mom and pop, but it was like a family owned business that they started from the ground up that I worked for, to an actual like legitimate startup that's taken over like a good portion of the US in terms of specific services that they offer. So I can say the scale, like if we were to scale it into terms of like numbers, I went from like a 3 difficulty, which is like the mom and pop, to now where I'm working at, which is more like a 7 to 8. Ooh. And not even necessarily in terms of difficulty, but in terms of scope of work, basically. Like you were saying, Active Directory and Azure. We use both of them right now because technically the system it was Active Directory, and on-prem it was more locally based because they had Active Directory and they were holding all their accounts, computers, domain controllers, things like that. Everything was housed in Active Directory. But now I'm witnessing that change from Active Directory to a more online, Azure-based, Intune compliant sort of environment change. And if I can say one thing about that whole situation is about time, but also it is work. It's because nowadays,
tell me about it.
Like these bigger companies, if you're not online, what are you doing? There's way too much data in the world to be. You talking about housing 50,000, 100,000 employees' accounts in an Active Directory server? You walk into that server room, it's hot as Haiti in that mother. Like them servers gonna be running like.
Hey. Speaking of, like, I was in this server room like last week, bro. We had to like go troubleshoot some stuff, and like we basically at the end of the day, we just had to replace a cable in there, right? But it took us a while to like figure out exactly like what rack it was, what specific server, and all that stuff. Woo! It was hot as Satan's crack up in that.
We are a smaller business. We have 2 IT rooms. The rack for our switch, like our data switch, it's like 6-7 racks, which is like good because we house, I would say our max amount of employees is anywhere between 100 to like 300, give or take, in office or remote. And then the controllers that have to deal with all that. We keep that thing at 71 degrees Fahrenheit because you got to keep it somewhat cool. Because all that, even then, the power went out for 3 minutes. That server room cooked immediately. Yeah. So you're talking about stuff like that, where you got to keep like, because the hardware is just as important. When you think Azure, you think, when you think Active Directory, it's like, okay, it's all on a server, but like that server has to be housed somewhere. It needs to be set up stably, and it offers a whole lot of risks that you don't necessarily need if you were more cloud-based. Because cloud-based servers, tell me what a server is. You type URL in, that's your server. Like it's how to this day I still don't understand the cloud. All I know is
the cloud is probably the biggest marketing, like the biggest genius marketing stunt in all of like tech history. Because it's like, the cloud, and even the way they do the logo and stuff. You really thinking it's up in the cloud? Wow. Nah, it's just somewhere in somebody else's computer.
Yeah.
Somewhere else, there's offshore.
Some supercomputer housing all of this data.
Exactly.
It's just not on your company's dime or on your dime as a person, which is what you pay for. You make sure, me putting this on the cloud means I don't have to pay $100,000, $300,000 to have a server room, host it, make sure everything's good. Because when it breaks in the cloud, that's another person's problem. You just store the data in the cloud. But when it's Active Directory, if it breaks, you got to go find out what broke on it. The cloud, you can whoever's housing it can, usually your ISP, refresh that server. You gonna be all right. Simple.
You know what? Like, I love that because even at my job, there's like, just like you said, like, you don't got to worry about that. It's not your problem because it's
all.
like it's on the cloud. A lot of the stuff that like we handle that's like cloud-based, like certain servers that are like cloud-based, or like certain like equipment or hardware that like we have like a vendor for it and all that stuff. It's like soon as I see it, I'm like, call the vendor. Just call them up. Hey, come take care of it.
Something ain't wrong
Not
with
my
service.
Problem. This is why we pay you.
As an
pull up.
Exactly. As an IT person, nothing feels better. True. Nothing feels better than being like, hey, because you get tickets all day, every day. Nothing feels better than you being the put the ticket in. You asking the questions. Hey, what's the status of my ticket?
Hey,
like, where my ticket at? Get
you
my
the follow up questions.
Yeah.
And like
make my straight. Yeah, what's the update? It's kind of slow still. The cloud server ain't running the way it's supposed to. And it's like all these different things. It's like you really get to be on the side of the consumer, right? Because you get all these things bounced on you every day. But it's good to be able to be like, okay. And thank God I'm not a cloud engineer. I do want to learn more about the cloud, but a cloud engineer, he probably got the worst day ever. Because when one thing is wrong with the cloud, you know it's wrong for millions. Because I don't know a cloud server that houses less than 1 million like data points. So like, good luck with them. It is great, and I really do think like as a society we need to run to the cloud because a lot of these things it's so easy to hack Active Directory or like all these like locally based servers. All you need is one person to up, and you can get anything of any bit of information. But the cloud is so like encrypted that it's like, damn. That isn't to say it's like impenetrable.
I was about to say, because then like what if your service provider
gets
hacked?
They get hacked. That's what I'm saying. It's not
impenetrable. Because like
we
all saw what happened like with Microsoft with like CrowdStrike and all that stuff.
What happened to MGM?
A couple months ago.
MGM, all them accounts got touched and everybody was freaking out and all these different things on the strip. They were, what's it called? What's that hotel chain? I don't remember what it was called, but there was another hotel chain. Like a bunch of hotels in the strip got like mass raided. And like all their accounts were compromised. And it's like that necessarily, and that was on Active Directory. Cause like that was like, they were locally owned. But I'm just saying like, if it was the cloud and when it was the cloud, you kind of had a luck. But then again, that's like, you live every day like that. There's the chance that something bad's going to happen. But it's better to be more prepared. Plus, cloud security is pretty hefty. Whoever's breaking into that, they're getting traced to something. Like, everything has a way to track back to something. Especially when you break into cloud security. Maybe not locally, because it's like you are your own security when it's locally. But the cloud, I see millions of companies paid to house, like, data security, cybersecurity especially. It's like, they don't around with their data because they know other people don't want their data with, and they get sued if that happens. So, but so it's like at the end of the day, goes back to the same thing. Not my problem. Wouldn't let that happen to me though. Like, simple as that. Like, that's one of the big things I think I learned from going from like a smaller owned company to like a somewhat bigger, not necessarily a corporation, but a bigger startup company, was that switch from local Active Directory to like Azure-based cloud services. And like it is such a necessary jump because it makes the day-to-day so much more simple. Like a lot of the things you can accomplish when you just put things on the cloud. And that's not to say that people that work in IT or who are cloud engineers are lazy. We're not saying that just because it's not our problem, we don't have to deal with it. We still have to troubleshoot certain things because at the end of the day, we may not house the cloud server, but we need to know how to navigate it. And that in and of itself is its own task. So like when there's a problem, we can't fix it, but we need to know where the problem occurred, when to address it, and who to address the fix to, and how to get that fix like put onto the company. So in and of itself, that's its own skill set. That's one of the big things I've noticed from going to a larger company. It's like you need to know who to talk to and when to evaluate problems. And back to what you were saying on the issues of teams, like my first ever IT team was like 4 people strong. Like it was me, the head, and then the guy below him, my manager. That was it. And it was mom and pop. It was, I swear I knew more than him at my old job. He was like 50-something, 60-something, didn't know how to reset his password. And I'm like,
oh boy.
Head of IT, huh?
Oh boy.
Interesting.
Oh boy.
Not to get into specifics, I'm not saying nothing about that man. He was a great man. But it's stuff like that. And then I go into a new environment and the teams are so wide. You're like, they're vast. Everybody has their own niche, specific set of duties to accomplish some kind of IT security or enablement or development. Each one of those pieces all interconnect into one thing, IT. And it's like that part is the fascinating part about the job. It's like, I thought to myself, I never liked working in teams. And I was like, whenever everybody would say like, oh, when you get into IT, you got to be able to work on a team as a team. And it's like, it's honestly some fulfilling work because you don't lose your sense of purpose when you're working for a team. If anything, it amplifies it because they rely on you for a certain level of information or like upkeep of certain things, because at the end of the day, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Right.
So if the chain is somewhere down the line broken, everybody's gonna come together to fix that thing. Sure, it's on a smaller scale of like 100 to like maybe 300 to 500 people, but that in and of itself is how these companies. Every company started 100 strong, and then they got to 100,000 to 1 million. So, and it's about building that base of like 100 strong like chains to like, wow, that's crazy. Me talking about chains, Black History Month, but but like that's necessary in order to build a stronger foundation for them moving forward. But that's just what I think anyway. Working, but like you got the real insider scoop on like big business type.
I don't really got no insider scoop. You trying to make it sound like like I'm some big boss.
Hell yeah.
Nah. I ain't got it like that.
Y'all heard
we still
right.
at the bottom.
Y'all heard right. Still... Don't rob him. Don't rob him. He ain't got no money on him.
Hey. We still at the bottom, dog.
That's true.
We still trying to make it.
We exactly. We still trying and we
still trying to make it.
Like
still trying to make it.
But
yeah, I mean, everything you said was valid for sure. I mean, yeah, just to like kind of add to that, just as far as like, I don't even like, some people might feel like, oh, like maybe it's like kind of like you being lazy and stuff, as far as like, oh, like you wanting to get the vendors involved or get your cloud administrator involved and stuff like that. But like you said, it comes down to like the whole thing of like your niche and like your speciality, right? Because if there is a problem that needs to be solved, you want to get an expert, right? It's like, it's like, oh, like for example, like you got your little apartment, you know what I'm saying? Maybe like your toilet goes out, you know what I'm saying? Like it's clogged or something, or like, I don't know, whatever it might be, or your dishwasher or something. Like, I mean, you could try to go on YouTube and try to watch videos and figure it out. I mean, you probably could if you have a little bit of the aptitude to work that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, like if you did have the money to pay somebody to come fix it, or if you could just call the people up to come fix it, they bring an expert in and then they do what they do, right? So it's like, yeah, that's just what it is. So it's like when you have the money for that, it's like you don't have to, because then you got to think about it too, though. Like for example, right, like if you were to house all of your own data and have your own servers on-prem and all that stuff, first you got to buy all the hardware. Okay, you know what, let me back up. First of all, you got to have the actual physical location.
Yep.
Right? This is real estate. Like this is real estate. This is buildings. Yep. Yeah. This is whole buildings that you got to build or rent. Right? Then you need the hardware. Right? All the hardware you got to throw up in there. Then it's like, oh, you need all the cabling. and all the network infrastructure for all that stuff. Now you got to hire a whole in-house team, right, of network engineers, cloud security engineers, cybersecurity guys, right, technicians, all that good stuff, right, management, director, all that stuff. That you know, you got to hire them, you got to pay them benefits, all that stuff. You know, it's a lot more work that the whole company has to do to set this thing up. But then it's like, if you could just sign up on the cloud, just sign up.
How much do you want? How many users you gonna have? This, and this.
Exactly.
Dot it off.
You got the money. You just pay. Oh, I need this many licenses, right? If you run out, you buy some more. You know, I need this much amount of storage or whatever it might be. You know, I have this many amount of like access points or data terminals or whatever it might be, you know, and they hook you up. They just charge you, and it's scalable. So it's like, the bigger you get, you pay for some more space, some more.
The word that I was looking for this entire time, and that just reminded me, like, as you were talking about, I was thinking like, wow, that's so tedious, time consuming. Time is all about efficiency. That's what keeps us working, and that's what keeps the whole system running. Efficiency. Yes, you could figure out the problem, like what's wrong with the toilet or what's wrong with the dishwasher, but do you have the time? You got to go to work. If you have kids, you got to take care of the kids. The kids got to use the bathroom. You need that bathroom fixed today. You don't got time to be looking up YouTube videos, doing all that stuff. You need that thing done, whatever it is, that day. You need it done quickly. And that's why I think it's the difference between like hiring your regular Joe Schmo off the street to do IT and like IT professionals or people in training like us getting to become professionals. We are all about efficiency. You got to be able to, you got to be able to find the answer, but what is the fastest, most effective way to find the answer in the least amount of time? Like, that's the good thing about like the job and being on a team. It's sure, you three might not know how to figure out this problem. You know where it is, you know how to like assess it, but you don't know what the problem is. You don't know how to fix it. But that's the great thing. This team over here, who has nothing to do with it, sees things like this all the time. And they're like, oh, try this, and this. Now, this team talks to this team's like, oh. And they're like, but what about this? And then this team's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. And all this collaboration happens in the span of like 2 hours.
Collaboration.
And that collaboration creates efficiency. The problem is fixed in 2 hours. Whereas if you had left it to one person or one team, you'd be there for like your whole shift or 3 days.
Like a whole week.
A whole week on a problem that could have been fixed in a second. It's all about different perspectives, time, and efficiency. Companies and businesses don't have the time to be waiting on somebody to figure it out. When they pay for something, they want it done as quickly as possible. The amount of time you see on your emails, I need this done ASAP. I need this done ASAP. Nobody got time to wait. Like,
nope. Plus, they're losing money too. They're like, time is, when they say time is money, like, it's like ever since I started, like, you know, like getting into IT and like, you know, like working like, you know, for the last however many years, right? Like, you literally see that, like, bro, time is money. Like, literally, like it equals money, like directly proportional, right? So it's like, it's not even like some kind of like figure of some expression or yeah. Like, it looked like if systems are down, right? If a switch is down, right? Like, all the computers connected to that switch, there's business operations that need to be done. There's customers that are on the phone that should be attended to. There's sales that are supposed to be made, right? Yep. There's a bunch of different things that are like hanging on the balance of this
that
one switch. So like, the more you're wasting time to bring it back online, that's money you're losing. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a customer who gets dissatisfied with the amount of time that you're taking to solve the problem, they don't get out. They'll be like, okay, like, it seems like y'all don't got this figured out. I'm gonna go to Mr. Joe down the street. He gonna hook me up with the same stuff I'm trying to get from you.
When he goes down to Mr. Joe, he gonna tell Mr. Joe, hey, don't go to them niggas. Them niggas suck. And then Mr. Joe gonna tell Miss Susan and Miss Tabitha all them, hey, all this suck. And then it's a trickle down, and that's a whole demographic of
your whole reputation is
over 3 seconds of a switch being down. Like, like people don't realize, like literally time is money. You could be, if your server is down for an hour, that's almost 300,000 to some companies. I looked at the number and I'm just like, I ain't never seen that many zeros in my life. Like physically. Like, of course you see that shit in movies. You see that. It is money. Like,
yeah,
there's no, you need to have that sense of urgency when you're working. And that isn't to say you should let it like run your shit. Cause like, if you let that level of like anxiety build up, you ain't gonna want to go to work. But that's another thing that IT professionals need to learn, and that people on the outside looking in, if you're looking to get into the IT field, is like prioritizing. Like prioritization is the biggest thing I've come to grasp. Now, I wouldn't say I'm a master at it, but I'm definitely like, if this was in terms of like kung fu, I'm at least like green belt. No, that's taekwondo. I'm like right in the middle. Like I'm still beating ass. But if a black belt come through, falling back. You got it. You got it, Mr. Miyagi. With it. I'm not doing none of that. Cause like I know and I know how to prioritize things that are important, but there are some people that deal with such high tasks and data demands in IT that it'll make what you're dealing with look like, damn, bro, you got to pick between a lollipop and a cheeseburger, bro, which obviously pick the cheeseburger. Like, you need something to eat, right? Dumb. But the they deal with looks like, am I getting the Maserati with the turbo suspension, extra nitrous boost, or am I going to get the Urus with the beefed up 60-inch chrome wheels? And I'm like, how do you even know what to look at? What's going on? And it's like, all this together, you really be looking at like, all right, let me fall back, cause what the like prioritization is the biggest thing. You need to know what problems need to be solved first. If Cindy Lou Who needs her password reset, and the CEO of the company is locked out of his computer, this isn't to say that Cindy Lou Who is not important, but you need to prioritize the guy housing Cindy Lou Who.
Yeah, she's not important right now. Right now.
She's important overall.
You need to sit back down, Cindy Lou.
You gotta sit down. Go get you some coffee in the break room. I gotta go help the Lorax over
It's all
here.
love, but
But like you need to know these things. It's like simple things like that will keep you from like putting too much on your plate. You handle the high class problems, then you move your way down. Which isn't to say you ever forget about Cindy Lou. You still get to her. But right now, get the CEO back. He can make this, because it's just a matter of like objective. Like it's objectively, CEO's gonna bring in millions of dollars in. It's his company. He knows it ins and out. All these different things. He knows access to more money that will in turn benefit Cindy Lou. If I spend an hour with Cindy fixing Cindy's computer, and this guy's losing out on millions, I'm getting fired. Like, not even a question. Cindy gonna fire me? She ain't gonna fire. She ain't gonna do this to me, but give me a glare in the break room. He took too long to set my password.
It's a little gossip and
don't give up. Keisha? Like, you gotta prioritize. And this isn't specific things. It's just like things in general. Like, you need to learn what is more important at the time than something else. If you can get those skills down, there's nothing you can't do in IT. There's literally nothing you can't do. Even if you don't know the answer to the high class problem, you need to create a situation where you can handle the high class problem first. AKA, get your teams on the high class problem first. And then while they're collaborating to fix that issue, that leaves you open. You go help Cindy real quick, get her all good to go. She's off your plate. And then you're back to collaborating. And by the time you low-key get back into the situation that you didn't know anything about, that you enlisted the help of others that knew more than you, the problem is either 95 to 100% done. And then you get the minutes from whatever meeting, and you be like, oh, that's how you fix that person. Now, if the CEO's computer ever goes down again, you don't need a team. You can take him and Cindy Lou, fix them both, one hand on each, ambidextrous.
Right. That is such a good point. That is such a good point, because I'm not going to lie, that literally saved my ass. just this past week. Like I had to fix an issue in Outlook where basically like this dude, so he was added to a shared mailbox, right, for his entire department, and all of a sudden he's not getting any emails in his inbox from that shared box, but he's still getting his like direct emails to his own company email. But like it was so weird. But like, you know, same you just said, I had to like, it kind of just hit me like, because he said something about like, oh, this happened some time ago, and this guy, he helped me fix it. So I'm like, okay. Well, let me just look in the notes then. So I look it up and like, I pull up I just basically searched his name in ServiceNow, and I just looked up all the tickets that he's ever put in the past couple months. And then I just track the one that like had like a similar topic, read through the shit. I'm like, okay, this is how you fixed it. I just did the same shit. Everything all good, all gravy, all good, you know. So yeah, that is a good point though, with like documentation and stuff, for sure. But then also like I wanted to talk about like contract work a little bit, because I feel like, you know, a lot of things been changing in IT recently. You know, I kind of have an idea of what it's about, but I also really don't know, because like it's kind of weird, you know. But I feel like in the past, I feel like since post-COVID, we've just seen like a whole influx of just like a lot of contract work, and like motherfuckers just don't want to hire full-time no more. Like, bro, it's like the job market is,
I can't speak on it personally, but from what I've seen, hiring on contractors, it's all about commitment. It's like companies are very non-committal. It's strictly business. They need you to do this job, this specific job, for this amount of time. Once that job is done, then their business can run as normal. Sometimes the projects are bigger than the company, but the once the project is completed, it can be like interweaved into the company's like way it runs, to the point
systems.
Where the systems where the already full-time to part-time employees can handle that load. It's like at the time, because it's like,
good point.
Because think about it, like say you're trying to like, it's like NASCAR, right? It's the difference between like going to NASCAR and like getting an oil change. They're both cars, and they both need that routine maintenance, right? But an oil change can take you anywhere from an hour to like from 30 minutes to an hour, because they're taking their time, making sure everything's nice and neat and fixed on your car. Because what are you using it for? You're just using it to get to work. NASCAR, you get in that mother, they gotta check everything: tires, pressure, this, coolant, all these different things in a matter of 30 seconds, so that you can get back to racing. That's how companies run. They need to fix everything at once. They don't have time to wait and nitpick all these little things. And the nitpicking is those projects that they need to expand their business. That's why they need a NASCAR level track team, which is contract workers. Those people are the ones that they'll take all the parts off quickly, fix that, put that back on, and then the car's back on the track. Business is back on the track. They don't need the NASCAR anymore, right? That's just what I've seen personally. I can't say I've worked in contract. I've only ever had a full-time or part-time work. But that's just what I see them using contractors. And that's what I see this influx of contractors. Because you're right. Post-COVID, I didn't even know contract work was a thing. Like, when I heard contractor, I thought, like, entrepreneurial type things. Like, you're like, it's big stuff. If you're a contractor, you're a big deal. But, like,
right, like work, you have your own business, and then you're getting, like, government contracts and stuff like that.
Contract, exactly. That's what I thought. I was like, oh, it's big stuff. But like in reality, it's smaller than that. It's more centralized. So that's why I get that term with the NASCAR stuff, because it's like, yeah, the business may need this big project, and they can't halt their normal business practices. That's what the full-time employees are for. They keep the business running afloat as normal. The contractors work on that project that is still necessary to the company as a whole, but they can't put their full-time employees on that team, because that will halt businesses. And we've just been saying, time is money. We can't stop the flow of business to get this new project, right? And so we need a new specific team for a specific amount of time to complete said project while business practices are still moving along making us money. In turn, making us more money when the project is completed, which advances the company. So like it's all a circle. You can't cut it or it breaks the circle and then you're
yeah.
So that's just what I've seen, and that's what I think is the whole thing. Because post-COVID, we lost the amount of money that was lost post-COVID is crazy. How many businesses had to be put on hold because of COVID? That's why I think they're on such a non-committal path to the point where they need these things done, but they don't have the funds necessarily to house all these new employees. So they house them for how long they need them, and then on to the next project.
Yeah,
that's just what
that was a nice little analogy that you had there with the NASCAR. That's pretty good. You cooked with that one. That was a nice analogy because it really made me understand it from a different perspective. That makes a lot of sense. Because like I always just thought that like maybe just motherfuckers is just being stingy, you know, just being greedy in a way where it's like, oh, they're just trying to save money by any means. But then it does make sense, like the way you put it, where it's like, oh, we do need these things to be done, these little projects, you know, but at the same time, we're not gonna pause our whole operation that's like our daily bread and butter to focus on this little projects here and there. So we bring people on, they do it, then our guys can also like slowly absorb them as time goes on, and then it's like, yeah, that's smart.
And
I respect that.
That's what leaves contract to hire positions, because those are for more businesses that are like well established, where they have a decent amount of workforce. They still need that extra help, but like the real overachievers, the people that they saw had initiative, they use that as an opportunity to recruit for their own company. Because yeah, they may work for a contract business before, but it's like, you've done really good work for us. Why keep leaving yourself on a leash? Come work for me for good. It's like the combine. Like, you don't know who you're gonna get, but you see who really run it, who really putting in work, and you're like, I'm drafting this running 4-2. I want him. Whereas, you may hire another contractor that runs like a 5-6, and it's like, okay, you got the job done, but you didn't do it like the way I wanted to. I want 4-2 to work for me all the time, because then you're just adding that level of initiative, that level of experience, and boosting your own business at the same time. So that's how I see contract to hire work. But like, because I technically was a contractor when I first started working, because I would only ever work like seasonal jobs, like seasonal positions, only because I was in school. But that's just the way I saw it. And then I went from seasonal to part-time to full-time. So I've seen the transition. Like, if you're a good worker and you do good work, that's the seasonal period or the contract period is basically your like scouting. You're being scouted for this position. It's the way to scout you while also it benefits the worker too, because it scouts you. You're still making a living, and they're still getting what they want on the business end of things. So it's a win-win on both sides. You get to see how this guy works. He gets to finish the project, and if he finished the project with such like enamor, with such grace, or whatever he or she did, now you're like, well, I don't gotta do the hiring process with you. I've seen how you work. I like your work ethic.
We don't gotta go through the whole rigmarole.
All that. I'm like, you look great. You do great work. We love you here. Come work.
Yeah, you're already part of the culture, so it's like all we gotta do is just sign a little bit of paperwork. You on board?
Numbers, switch a couple things. You don't work for the contract. You work for me now. Like, it's the easiest way to like hire. Because that's the problem with today's society. It's like, you don't want to hire people. Like, people say they want to hire, but like it's hard. You can look like Bill Gates on your resume. Come to work, you work like Squidward. Like, you don't want to be at work. You don't want to do nothing. Like, Squidward hates his job. But look at this SpongeBob. Ha! You would have thought SpongeBob made the Krusty Krab. But like, it's like that. So contract work is the way of like weeding out all the dummies. I don't want to say it like that, but it's like weeding out the dummies. Yeah, you put a bunch of people in. You're like, you need the manpower, but then you're like, okay, you.
Yeah. Separating the Squidwards from the SpongeBob.
Exactly. Like that's how I see it. And I think that's
we should probably make that the title of this episode. You know, you got to separate the Squidwards from the SpongeBobs.
Wait, I like that.
Yeah.
See, it's at the end of the episode. Now they're like, full circle. It's like when they show the credits and it's like, oh my God, that's the name of the movie. They put it at the end. That's how that feels, bro. That's how that feels. I like that.
But yeah, but I was gonna say one last thing though. Sometimes they do be you over, man.
Facts.
Sometimes they do be doing you dirty. Cause like I remember like this whole contract job situation I was in. You know, it was a nice little cool job, you know, for what it was at the time. But then also it was like they had like 8 of us who were all contractors on this project, and they were all telling all of us that it was a contract to hire, right? But then at the end of the day, it was only one position that was open for full time. So it was kind of like, I don't know, like some type of thing, like, you know, like, it's like, oh, like maybe for example, like, oh, like a dude, and he's like, you got all these girls, and they like, you're like kind of like, oh, you're trying to see who's the one that you're gonna settle down with, and then you're telling all of you're just lying to all of them.
Yep. Like, I'm gonna marry you one day.
Them, oh, you's the one. Yeah.
Whole time you got a girlfriend. Whole time you married. You married to somebody. You just like, yeah,
bro. That's really what they did to us, bro.
And
I feel like whole time the dude they were gonna hire, they already knew.
Yes.
Because like I'm not even trying to bring like race into it or whatever, but the truth is like that like IT department was like saturated with a lot of Asians, right? Like a lot of Filipinos, right? Which
it's like nursing. I
ain't mad at it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like, you know, a lot of them, you know, a lot of what's it called? Like a lot of referrals. You know, it's like, oh, I know this guy, I know that guy type stuff, right? Thanks. A lot of them were good at their jobs. You get what I mean? So it's no shade, right? And guess who they hired? The Filipino dude was the one that was hired at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm not trying to make it look like it was some racist type stuff, but
and when I say that purely objectively, in the sense of like companies, if their moral compass is that of a normal business, like you want the best for your employees and what you want for the business, there's gonna be shady businesses everywhere. They're gonna put all of these hopes and aspirations into your head only to rip them away. Like it's really about the business, and it's luck of the draw for the most part. Like, right. You could be the most suited to fit this company, but you're right. The person that they know, the person that they've been referred, is most likely going to get the job. Does that mean you should stop doing what you're doing and stop being a hard worker and stop grinding? Never. It just means the situation you were in wasn't the right one at that time. And you just accept that and move on. Because 9 times out of 10, you're the diamond in the rough. They missed out on your ass. So now, the next business that gets you, the next business that gets you, you golden. They gonna treat you the way you know you're supposed to be treated. That's why you just gotta accept these things and then, you know, let it be what it is. That's all I gotta say.
Yep.
But we at the 44 minute mark here. We've been yapping. This one was good. I like this one. Yeah. This one was a lot of information, like actual information. If you're listening, like take this. Like if you ever are thinking about getting into the IT field and you want to know what a couple think about it, Code Noir. That's all I'm saying. We out here for the people.
Place to be.
For the people, by the people type But
hey, don't say we never did anything for y'all, because we be putting you on, okay?
Make it to the IT for free. When you make it to the IT field, I expect you to cut my check. Code Noir, cut the check.
Yeah, pay for this, dog. They pay for this amount of sauce and this amount of information.
We've been in. Hey? Come on now, compensate me. Not really, kind of, a little bit. Anyway, with that being said, we gonna cut it at this one. Episode 4 coming to a close. You feel me? good talks today. You know, real informative stuff. And yeah. Any final words? Any salutations, good sir? Oh, God. I remember that damn.
See y'all on the next one.
All
Tap
right.
in.
Tap in, y'all. All social medias will be posted.
Deuces.